Today, we're going to be talking about using BookMe to book more senior portraits. We're going to go through the process of creating a BookMe service. I'm going to show you how to duplicate that service and modify it. Then we're going to go through enabling that service and then actually making it available on your site, as well as putting it out on a custom landing page. All right, so here we are in my Zenfolio account. And first, what I want to show you guys is really what we're going to try and end up with by the end of this. It's kind of a page that looks something like this. Now, this is a custom page that I created earlier today. It has a lot of lorem ipsum in there because I didn't have the time to really fill in the details. We're going to be talking about that a little bit more. But basically, what this is going to be is my senior portraits kind of landing page. And we're going to talk a little bit about why I created this, but it also has the nice little book a session button down here on the bottom right, which is what we're going to be talking about today as well. So this is kind of the end goal of what we want to end up with, something that kind of looks like this, where it talks about the different types of sessions that we offer with a call to action and the book a session button down here. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to look at BookMe. We're going to talk about how do you create a BookMe service. I'm going to show you how to duplicate it and modify it to kind of streamline that process. And guys, if you haven't checked out BookMe yet, it is amazing. It is a calendar-based booking solution. You can connect it to your Google Calendar. I would definitely encourage you guys, if you're not already using Google Calendar, go ahead and get Google Calendar set up because it's going to integrate with BookMe. So I'm going to go to BookMe right here. And I'm just going to click on services right here on the left. Let me get myself out of the way. So I'm going to click on services right here. And I need to just zoom my browser out a little bit there. There we go. And then we're going to click on create a service right here. Now, as you can see, I already have some services and stuff set up in here. But today we're specifically focusing and talking about senior portrait sessions. All right. And so what we're going to do is we're going to click create a service. And this is where you create that service. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is select a shoot type. And the reason that we want to select a shoot type is because what this shoot type does is it actually controls the organization of your services in the BookMe widget for your clients. So just to give you a quick demonstration of what I mean, if I go to this page and I hit book a session right here, you're going to see these kind of sections here. These are different shoot types. And then within these shoot types, there are different services, right? So I have different services in here. This way, the client doesn't click this and see a bunch of different service types. They go to their shoot type that they're looking for first, and then they select the service that makes sense for them. All right. So that is what we're doing right now. We're going to go back into BookMe. We're going to select a shoot type. And for this one, I am going to select seniors. Now, if you don't see the specific shoot type that you're looking for here, maybe you do something that's not on this list, that's perfectly fine. Select something that you probably won't use and you can customize and change what it says later. And I'll show you that so that you guys can remember that if you need to do that. But for this one, we're going to select seniors because, again, we're talking about senior portraits today. All right, so I'm going to select seniors. And then for this service name, I'm just going to call this one Studio Session. All right. Pricing, we're going to go down here and set our pricing. So I'm going to say this is $250 for 1 hour. And then the really cool thing about BookMe is that you can actually collect your payments there on the website. So when your clients are clicking on that book a session button, you're actually going to be collecting that either session fee or however you have it set up, you can actually collect that. Or you have a couple of other options, what we're looking at right here. You can collect no payment from them if you want, but you can collect the full amount later. So if you want to say, hey, I'm going to let them book, and then so many days after the shoot, I want to send them an invoice for the full amount that they owe me, you can do that. You can say, you know what, let's invoice them 3 days after the shoot. Or if you want to manually invoice your client, you can do that as well. Now, I'm not a fan of this option. I at least like to collect a partial payment, if not the full payment at the time of booking. So you have both of those options as well. You can say, hey, when you book this, you need to go ahead and give me the full payment up front. Or if you want to do a deposit, you can say, you know what, I want to collect a partial payment. So I want you to go ahead and put $100 deposit down. And then 3 days after the shoot, I want an invoice to automatically be sent for the remaining $150 of that session. So you have lots of options here for how you want to collect that. Also, you can go ahead and say, you know what, I just want to collect that the remaining amount in person or send them an invoice outside of Zenfolio. You can do that option as well. All right. So lots of options here. What I'm going to do for this one though is I'm going to go ahead and collect the full payment at the time of booking. All right. So just make sure that you explore these options. Make sure you think about what works best for your business model. What are your clients used to? What is kind of the way that you've decided that you're going to run this or do this for your particular business? And again, lots of options here that you have to go through. So now we're going to talk about service availability. Whenever you first set up your BookMe in your Zenfolio account, you have the option to create what's called global bookable hours. The best way to think about this is your normal business hours, right? Like when you set up Google Business and Google's like, well, what are your normal business hours? That is your global bookable hours. And you can leave a service to be available during your global bookable hours, or you can modify it. You can say, you know what? Normally, I do these types of sessions from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. But since this is a senior portrait session, maybe I want to shift those hours a little bit and say that it's from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. or something like that. You have the option of doing that. Right now, it is set to be available during the global bookable hours. But if I want to modify that availability, I can. So if I click modify availability, all right, I get quite a few options that are here. All right, and this is another thing that is super powerful about BookMe is that you have quite a few options here to adjust when this particular service is available to be booked by your client. All right, so let's say that I want to set this availability outside of my global bookable hours. I want to set custom availability. And then what I want to do is I want to say, okay, I'm going to take Monday off of doing senior portraits. I'm not going to do any senior portraits on Monday, but on Tuesday, I want to start them at maybe 3 p.m. 3 p.m. There we go. And I'm going to go all the way up to, and this is studio session. So maybe I want to go all the way up to 9 p.m. since I'm going to be indoors, right? And I have studio lights. I don't have to worry about the sun and all of that good stuff. I'm going to be using my studio. And then what I could do is I could keep going down and applying that to all of these days. There's several different ways you could do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply it to all of the days and hit save. And then I'm going to modify this a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and remove Monday and say, you know what? I don't want to do these on Monday. But on Saturday, I want to start these a little bit earlier because I know that kids are not going to be in school on Saturday. So I'm going to edit that time slot to say, you know what? We can do these from 9 a.m. Till 9 p.m. or however late you want to go. All right. And we'll save this. All right. And then let's say maybe you don't want to do any sessions on Sunday. You can remove that and save. Okay. So we've modified this service's availability outside of our global bookable hours. The next thing that we're going to do is we can come down here and we can set up buffer time, right? So this is how much time do you need before and after that shoot that your client booked. Now, this is really important to think about, especially right now with COVID going on and this being a studio shoot. Do you need a designated set amount of time to sanitize the studio, right? Do you need a designated amount of time to just take a break, to reset the studio, to maybe make sure that your camera is good to go, that you've got your images off, right? So you can set a buffer time to give you some time in between each session to let you do whatever it is you need to do to be ready for that next session. And that's what buffer time is. So we're going to go down here and say, you know what, before the shoot, I want 30 minutes of buffer time. And after the shoot, I want another 30 minutes of buffer time. So this way I have some time to kind of catch my breath. After the shoot, I have some time to kind of sanitize everything. And the other thing that you can do as well is you can come down here and you can say, okay, also, I'm only going to book a maximum of 4 of these in one day. If you want to do that, you can. Or you can say, you know what? I don't want to set a limit other than the amount of shoots that can be booked within that time period. So I'm not going to set a limit. The last thing to pay attention to here is something that's really cool. Let's say that you're not quite ready to start these senior sessions yet. Maybe you're planning on launching these and starting these next month, but you want to go ahead and get this up on your site because this is your admin day and this is your time to do this stuff. You can go down here and you can say, okay, for available dates, I don't want to start booking these until April 1st. And I'm going to stop booking senior studio sessions, let's say in August or whenever date it is. And so that will make this service only available during those specific hours that we've set. And then also only available during those specific dates that we've specified as well. The other thing is that BookMe syncs with your Google Calendar. So if you have vacation time planned and it's on your Google Calendar, guess what? That's also going to block people from booking sessions with you as well, as long as you have your Google Calendar integrated into your BookMe here on Zenfolio. So it's really important that you do that. Okay, now that we have modified the time, the available dates, we're going to click Save. And then we're going to go down here and choose a photo shoot location. Now, this is for a studio session, so I'm going to go ahead and choose my primary location. And that is something that you set up when you do your initial setup of BookMe. You put in your primary location. If you own a studio, I recommend putting in your studio address. If you don't own a studio, I would recommend maybe putting in an address that's not your home address, but something close to your central area. Um, just depending on how you plan on doing your shoot. All right. We're going to talk about the client's location on the next service that we create. Now, the next thing down here is service details. These are kind of details about the service. You can tell your client what all they're going to get with this service. So, for instance, you might want to say 1 hour of shooting time. We're going to add another detail. Maybe you want to say two outfit changes. And anything else that you might possibly want to mention. If you're including any prints with this session, maybe you're saying, you know what, you get one 8x10 print. Maybe you say you get an online proofing gallery. Anything that you're going to include in this session for your client, put that in the service details. You can have up to, I believe it's 50. Maybe it's not 50, it's 10, up to 10 service details in here. And if you need to have more, right, if you need more space to really detail out what you're giving your clients in these sessions, that is where this senior portrait landing page that I was showing you guys earlier comes into play as well. And we're going to get to that here in a little bit. But back to this, there are some additional things right here. If you would like to enable a comment field, maybe you would like your clients to leave a message, whatever the case might be, you can do that. And then a really useful feature right here is the reservation option, right? And what that reservation option means is that when your client books this and they use that book a session button, they click it, they make their payment, it's kind of held until you actually approve that booking, right? So when you check this reservation option, your clients aren't charged until you approve the booking. Now, the date is held so that nobody else can book that date, but their payment is kind of held. You have to go in and approve that booking, and then your client's charged, right? If you don't want to do that, if you want people to go right into being able to book you and you don't want to have to approve the bookings, you can leave this unchecked. And then as soon as the clients finish the payment process, they've booked you for that date, they have been charged, and that money is getting sent to you. So something to think about. Useful feature. Once you've got all this set up, you're going to click save, and that's going to save that service. And if we scroll down, we're looking for the shoot type seniors, and we now have the studio session in here. Now, when we were talking about shoot types, I said that if you didn't see a shoot type that kind of fit the type of photography that you were doing, you could modify this. If you need to do that, you can just click right here and change the name. So if we wanted to call this something different, we could change the name to whatever we wanted to call this, grad sessions or something like that. So that is an option here if you need it. So we've created this studio sessions. This service is not available yet. As you can see, it's disabled. You do have to click that little enable option for it to actually show up in the book a session button. The next thing that we're going to do is talk about the fastest and easiest way to create more services for this shoe type. And that is by duplicating this existing service, right? In most cases, as photographers, we're offering kind of the same thing with our sessions, just some added perks, maybe longer shoot time, more outfit changes, locations, different things like that. And so, what you can do is rather than completely starting from scratch, you can just duplicate that service and then go in here, click the edit button, and then just modify the fields that you need to modify. So in this case, the next one that I create, I'm going to create a location session. All right. So we're going to go in here and I'm going to say, okay, this is location session. This is going to be 350 and we're going to do an hour and a half. And I'm going to keep it to collect full payment. I'm going to leave I'm not going to leave my service availability the same because this is a location session with a lot of those locations potentially being outdoors. I might want to take into account the available light and sun and all of that stuff. So I might want to make sure that I'm not allowing clients to book a location shoot at a park at 9 o'clock at night when we're going to have no light to work with. And so I'm going to go and modify my availability really quick. And we're just going to go here and I'm going to edit Tuesday's time slot and we'll say 3 p.m. to, I'm going to say at the latest 6 p.m. I'm going to apply that to all days. Then I'm going to get rid of Monday, go down to Saturday, edit that, and we'll bring that up to, let's say, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Save that, remove Sunday. All right. And then the buffer time should be the same, right? If you are doing a lot of traveling, maybe you want to increase that buffer time a little bit to give you time to get from location to location. Definitely something to think about. Also, as we scroll down the sessions per day, maybe you want to limit this. Again, if you don't set a limit, it's still going to be limited by the available time, depending on the time that you've put in for each day and the buffer time here. All right. And then again, we could alter the dates as well, right? Maybe we want to not do this to August. Maybe we're only offering these location sessions up until July or the end of July, right? We could do that if we wanted to. And then click save. Now, next, we're going to go down to location. And this is where we're going to allow the client to choose a location. And we're going to put in the mile radius that we're willing to travel. Now, again, that radius is going to be based on your primary location. And I'll show you where that's at in a second. But you can say, okay, for this, you can choose a location within we'll say 30 miles of my studio or my primary location. All right. And then we're going to go in here and kind of modify the details here. So maybe we'd say like what, 90 minutes of shoot time, just because I don't know a nice way to write an hour and a half. 90 minutes of shoot time. Maybe we do 2 outfit changes, an 8x10 print. Maybe we want to mention how many locations they can choose, maybe 2 locations, right? So all kinds of information that you can add in here. And then what we're going to do down here is same thing. You can enable comment field and you can also use the reservation option here and hit save. All right. So now I've created that location session and it was much faster than doing everything from scratch by using that duplicate option. All right, so I got to do one more. I'm going to run through this one really quickly. I think you guys have got the basis of how this works. I'm going to run through this really quickly and then we'll go take a look at that custom page. All right. So now we need to go down here and make sure that we have enabled it. All right. So we quickly created 3 types of services under the shoot type for seniors. I have them enabled. So let me show you guys what this will look like to a client now when they actually go and look at that book a session button. So I'm going to jump over here to this custom page. And then what I'm going to do is just refresh it really quick. Go down here to the book a session button. Here's the seniors shoot type right there. And then if I click this, we can see there's the studio session, there's the location session, here is the studio and location session, and they would choose what they want. It would tell them what they get. They hit continue. And then this is where it goes into the process of them picking their availability. And if you'll notice, if you remember, I set this to not be available until April 1st was the very first date. So even though right now it's March 4th, when I click on that, it takes me immediately to April 1st and shows me the first available time slot, which I said would be 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. All right. And if I click on this, it's going to give me the option to do 3, 3:15, 3:30, 3:45. And then when somebody books that time slot, it's going to affect the availability from anybody else trying to go book it because now there's something on our calendar. All right. So they would select their time slot, hit continue. This would be the photo location, which again would be my studio. They would hit continue, and this is their notes. If they have any notes here, they would put it in. And then finally, they would do their payment right here. All right, and that is how that works. So really quickly, I told you guys I would show you where that location information is. Let me jump back into my Zenfolio account really quick. We'll go up here to services, and you're going to go to profile. And right here is where you set up your primary location. So again, if you have a studio, that is what you would want to put as your primary location. You put that information in. And this is where you can also do things like set up your global bookable hours and connect your Google Calendar, which as you guys can see, I haven't done here, but this is my demo account. I have that connected on my real account. So you can set up all of that information here. All right. Now, the last thing I want to show you guys is connecting this or putting this onto a custom page. And so first of all, if you've never experimented with custom pages, I definitely encourage you to do that. You can find them by going to website and custom pages right here. All right. And why would you want to use a custom page as a senior portrait landing page or as any kind of landing page? Because custom pages give you a lot of space to put in a lot of text, which is going to be helpful for your SEO, right? So rather than uploading a PDF that documents or talks about your senior portrait sessions and what you offer, if you take that information and you actually put it into a custom page's text, make sure that that page is searchable. That is going to be helpful for your SEO. But now you're also creating a senior portrait landing page where those seniors can actually book with you using the book a session button. So first, I just want to show you what this page looks like, how I created it really quick. So I'm going to go down here to senior portraits. When you're creating a new one, you would just click create new. If you've never played with custom pages, you can do a search on our YouTube channel. Just type in custom pages. I'm sure several videos will pop up. But we're going to go down here to this one that I've created. And as you can see right here, I've just titled it Senior Portraits. You want to get a little bit more creative with that title. Again, anywhere on your website that you can have text, it matters to your SEO. So you might think about Raleigh, North Carolina, senior portrait photographer or something like that, right? And using that as your title for this landing page. But then basically down here, I've just kind of created this page where in theory, if this was an actual page that I was really creating for myself, this would be kind of an introduction, maybe talk a little bit about the services that I offer, the locations that I like to shoot in, thinking about strategic keywords that I'm actually dropping in this text. And then I would be describing each session that's available, giving the price with a call to action that would say, click the book a session button to see available dates and schedule. And I've just kind of set this up on this page right here. And then the last thing that I did was I made sure that the Book Me button was available on this custom page. So after you create this page, you want to save it and preview it. All right. And then when you're previewing it, you'll see up in the top the little edit button right here. You're going to click on that, go to edit page. And then what you're going to be looking for is you're going to be looking for options. And under options, you might have to uncheck use default settings, but then you're going to see a BookMe activation tab. You're going to click on that and you just simply enable BookMe and the book a session button will show up here as long as you have BookMe integrated into your account. All right. So if I disable this, that little book a session button that we see is going to go away once I apply it. All right, so the book a session button went away. Now this makes total no sense at all because there is no book a session button. So I would go back up here, go to options, book me activation, enable that, go down, apply it. And then the last thing you would do would be, if you want this page to be on your site menu, which you probably do, you could do add to new site menu, say senior portraits, hit enter. We're going to link this menu item to a built-in or custom page. We're going to go select a page, and you guys can't see it, but at the very bottom it says senior portraits, and then I'll hit update. That's going to add that site menu item to my header menu up here. And then I would just kind of grab this, drag this in place where I want it to be, and reload the preview, and then we would publish to make this live. So the last thing I would do is publish this, but basically people would land on this, click the book a session button, and go through the process of booking that senior portrait session with me.